And we're live.
All right, here we go. Podcast number 13, Wide Open with Chris Burandt, co-hosted by the one and only, thank God he has a shirt on today, Ross Robinson.
Yes,
What's up,
sir.
Ross?
Yeah, we're actually doing it. You would not believe how hard it is to get Chris in here for 45 to record this podcast.
I know, I was thinking that. I'm like, when you got back last week, I was like, oh man, we're going to crank like 2 a week and it's going to be great. And that has not happened.
I just get everything set up and then I just stand next to him. And I'm like, hey.
Are we doing this? And I'm on 2 phones at the same time. Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen right now, but we're here. We're doing it. So here we go. So what's up, everybody? We got some fun stuff to talk about for podcast number 13. We did a post on my Instagram of just seeing if you guys have been enjoying them. The vlogs are back. We're excited about that. Roscos been crushing it there, and it's so fun this time of the year because we have so much cool stuff going on. And we've been doing a little bit of riding. It's been very preseason riding, not much snow, but the exciting stuff is all the sled builds and all the stuff that's going on in at the shop. And so it's fun to show the people what we got going on, and it's hard to explain just how chaotic and the madness that we're at right now.
Yeah, well, that's what I was talking to Ryan last night, and he's not here right now. He's working at home, and he's like, oh my God, I saw a picture of the shop. I didn't know it was that bad. I'm like, dude, it's out of control. 25 sleds in the shop yesterday.
Well, and I was wrong. Actually, I counted, because I lost count, and so I just thought, well, it's about 25.
Okay.
It was 27, and we still have about 17 sleds out in the back. But we got the boys out there cranking out work right now, and we're in here drinking Mountain Ops energy shots and coffee. And so, but anyway, what I was saying is we did a post on Instagram talking about that we're going to be doing podcast number 13, and we asked, shoot us some questions. And I think that's what's been a lot of fun is via the podcast. You can listen to it anywhere you can get a podcast, but we're also doing these up on YouTube. For those of you guys who are watching on YouTube, you might notice our sick new studio.
This big blank white wall behind us. We need to figure something out, some sort of signage or something cool.
Well, actually what happened is we got kicked out of we were doing it in the store, but Ashley's too busy doing orders, and so we're in the dungeon.
Yeah, the dungeon, and it's the quietest place in the shop, so
we're okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, we asked for people to submit 5 questions, or that we were going to pick 5 questions to go over in our podcast for today. So let's dive into it. We had a lot of great ones, so it's kind of hard to just narrow on these few, but these are the ones that kind of sparked my interest. And one of the ones that I get asked a lot is, do you ride anywhere besides where you ride? So Colorado, we ride up at Grizzly Lodge, and we ride Chile. The other places that where's your favorite place to ride out of all the places you've been? And so we're gonna dive into that one. And so it's funny. My very neutral answer is it doesn't really matter where I go as long as I have snow, mountains, and trees.
Right.
That you can, and so then you can say, well, Colorado's awesome, Montana's awesome. I mean, everywhere is awesome, but there are those places that like we just have our favorites, right? And so for me, I've never ridden Revelstoke. Can you believe that? I mean, like the snowmobile capital of the world, I've never ridden Revelstoke. One of these days I will get up there. The schedule-wise right now is tough for me, but I really Grizzly Lodge is like one drainage over. So it's Grizzly, Sycamoose, Revy, all that kind of stuff. Yep. So I love Grizzly Lodge. And there's a couple of reasons that I really like that place. McCall kind of fits into that a little bit too.
Yep.
The tree spacing, I call it's just cheater. 100% cheater. It's
100% cheater until you find the old grizzly thicket, and then you're really screwed.
Then you're screwed. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But generally, the tree spacing is incredible. The snowpack is amazing. We're at a lower elevation than what we ride here. I feel like Superman down there. Just so many cool features. BC in general. I really like McCall. It's been a few years since I've been back there. And we've kind of dove into this a little bit, but so I love those aspects. But the reason that I love those aspects is because of what we ride here in Colorado. Annoying, tight, no base, high elevation with no power. And so we have to work so much harder to have those awesome lines here. Right. And then I go to somewhere like that, and I feel like I'm riding a 125 motorcycle, just 100% wide open all the time throughout the day. And I love that feeling.
You can be way greedier. Like you can just
get away with murder.
You're like, I'm going right up this thing. Whereas here is where we guide in Colorado and ride mostly, it's, you got to be plan B, and
a lot.
You're on your toes more.
Where's your spot, Roscoe?
I think, so there's actually more than just the riding I think about too, is because when we're guiding, we have so much other stuff going on, and we're not like quote unquote riding. And so like what I think about is like, I love Grizzly for the fact that it's a little bit different for us. We don't have our fleet of snowmobiles. We don't have our trucks and trailers that we have to deal with. We are more in like a true guide role where we're just guiding, and then we're hanging out, we're doing stuff, and so it's a little bit different, and it's fun in that aspect. But if I'm talking not on job, probably McCall, partially because we have friends there. Yeah. So when you're like, I'm going to go to McCall, you just call up the boys, Phil and those guys, and they take you to their spots, and then it's, that's what's fun about it. And those guys are really good riders, so you're not like having to search for snow, or you find the sweet spots. They can just lead you to the goods. And
I think what's funny, and we got to be careful that we don't end up just talking about one topic the entire podcast, but I think what's funny about when we talk about different riding areas, because everyone who's involved with this sport has their go-tos. A lot of people do the Togety thing and Alpine Wyoming and all of that. But just in my mind, as I was listening to you talk about that, some of those places that give me that vibe are, like Alpine, right, for example. When I go to Alpine Wyoming, that terrain is scary as shit. I mean, it is some big stuff. Last year on the climb ride in April, I was out of my comfort zone a lot, and it wasn't necessarily, it was definitely because of the terrain a little bit, but mostly because of the conditions of the terrain that we were in at that time.
And not like scary like avalanche conditions, because that's a whole different topic.
It was just like
just fast spring snow, and it's like, we're going on a toboggan ride, here we go.
Yep. And we talked about that in a couple podcasts back, of me almost dying coming down the hill. That was fun. But then I think of, I've been so blessed to be, when I went over to Russia and I rode, we just saw Kosturki and Keith Curtis were over there. And it's funny when I'm watching all their stuff, I'm like, yep, I've been there. That was awesome. It's just, it's that same thing. Like, if you've got hills, trees, and snow, you're going to go have a good time.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that kind of covers some of our favorite places to ride. But I really like your point, and I agree with you. We were just talking about this in the shop 2 days ago. We are so fired up to go to Grizzly because the vibe. And I think that's what gets people so excited about coming here to our place. It's the same thing, right? They're not dealing with their cabin and having to worry about where they're going. That's what they're relying on us for.
Right.
And I think that's what's a really big draw to come out and ride with us, is not only are you going to learn a bunch, but you're going to go see some cool country. You're going to get fed. You have no responsibilities. Your responsibility is to go have fun.
Right.
And so we're really excited about that. We lean on and rely on the staff at Grizzly for us up there. So it'll be fun.
All right. Next question. Before we get into chili, because that would spiral out of control. That question was asked by BS BWN Performance.
Cool. Awesome. So thanks for the question there. Let's go to, what do you want to do? How about filming?
Filming. Yeah, let's go filming.
Okay. So we got a question. Why do I say so many times?
I don't know.
Every time you hear me say it, just hit me.
Okay.
So, no, I'm just kidding. All right. So we got asked the question. Do you have it there?
I'm trying to find it.
Okay. Basically, it was asking how.
I got it.
Go ahead.
So this is from Drew Henley. How much time do you spend filming when you're out riding? Is it planned or dedicated days when you know you're filming all day, or is there always just a camera rolling and you edit out the goods from a ridiculous amount of content?
The answer is yes.
All of the above.
All of the above.
Somewhat.
And filming is such an important part of what we do. We love building our brand and promoting it and showing you guys what we do. But it's changed quite a bit. It used to be, for me personally, I used to film with 509, Slednecks, Phil's movie. I had these dedicated times where, yes, I am going to go spend 2 days, and all we're going to do is I'm going to go out with 2 filmers, and I'm going to go do silly things. And those days are crazy days. I mean, It is, when we guide and ride, I'm riding at 100% very little during the day. There's moments where I'm riding at 100%. Yep. But when you go film, you're every single line for me, I am going to go do something that, because we've set the bar so freaking high that if you do something that, like a maneuver that's 80%,
it's garbage.
It's garbage.
It doesn't go in the...
Yeah, if there's not a chance of your snowmobile flipping on top of you or you ending up down in the creek upside down, it doesn't even look good.
No. Yeah.
And so filming has become such I was going to say love-hate. I mean, I still like it, but I know...
It's a like-hate.
I know what that day is going to be. That day is going to be me mentally and physically giving it my all. Yeah. And those can be really good days, or they can be really bad days. Last year I had one that was a bad day, and I ended up smoking my wrist and set me up for a fairly uncomfortable rest of the season. But then I had 2 days last year when Stephen Clark and Phil came down that literally every single thing went right. The snow was perfect. My sled was flawless. I was riding at the level that I hold myself to. Yeah. And we got more footage in those 2 days than we could use. Yeah. And so those are what we call the dedicated days, when okay, we're going to grab 2 filmers, no clients, and we're just going to go, we've been saving these little zones, and we're going to go to those zones and do our deal.
Right. And on those days, and I think that's why if you ask any filmer who's filmed with you, especially in the last 5 years, because you've been doing it for so long, is like when I go film, I still sometimes try to force things to make it look cool, and then you end up failing, and that's a throwaway anyway. So it's like finding that balance of like, you got to make it, because you're trying to make it look sick and cool. And so you're like forcing it a little bit, but you got to know if you screw up, then it's a throwaway shot. And there's just so much that goes into it. And that's why like that day was so good, right? Like all of the BBA 2020 stuff is like, a lot of it is either out of Grizzly, which you guys crushed, and then it was out of those 2 days. And I still have footage from those 2 days, I think, that I didn't tap into. Just like clips here and there.
Sure. One of the things that has, so we talk about the love-hate thing, but one of the things that is so rewarding for me on the filming side of things, and this isn't my agenda, but it just happens to happen. I've been told by, Stephen Clark, who has filmed with every person who's out there. Right. Todd Williams, who is like the Jinsu master of photography. These guys, after a film session, come up to me and say, that was the most ridiculous day I've ever seen. You are on another level. And I mean, to hear those types of things, and I'm just out there doing my thing. I'm not like trying to show off or impress for them. I am doing this for me. I'm not doing it for anybody else. Yeah. I am wanting to push myself. And, to hear guys who have ridden with everybody, filmed with everybody, been in that moment, for them to say those types of things, it's just like, okay, that's kind of cool. That's worth it.
Yeah.
And it helps motivate me, keeps me fired up to want to do it, because that's the other thing too is, I've also worked with filmers where it's been the opposite. Yeah, that was pretty good there, but maybe if you could have done this, and it's like, you have no idea what I just went through to actually do that, and I felt good about it, and then you just put me down.
Right.
It's like,
It's
like me putting you down. Ross, dude, why didn't you? Dude, I was upside down, man. I thought I did it.
Yeah. The relationship on filming is like one, too. Like, that's why those guys that you're talking about are so good to work with, because you also have that good relationship and you look at things the same. Right? That's when you're like, oh, that wasn't what I was thinking.
Yeah. And that's the other thing, that once you have that filmer athlete relationship established, is I literally can look at a line and Phil already knows what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And it's like me, I do a couple points, he head shakes over there. Yep. Okay. And then boom, we're off. So, and that's Todd Williams is the same. And Todd, I will tell you about, like, he pushes me a little bit, where I'm just like, dude, come on. Like, that, could it happen? Yeah. I like to be more 50-50. He's more like 20-80.
Yeah.
20% I'm going to make it. 80% I'm going to end up freaking wrecking something.
And how often are you on a snowmobile that's not yours with Todd?
Oh, yeah.
Every time.
And it's a pre-production. Yeah. Todd. So for those of you guys who don't know, Todd Williams does a lot of the photo shoots for Polaris, so I'm riding the next model year. I'll be actually doing that here in a few weeks, riding all the model year 21. Man, I can't wait for you guys to see the 21. It's got this new I can't talk about it, right?
Jeez.
Okay, so we kind of
took a left
there on the filming. So those are dedicated days, but now something and that's where your role has expanded, Ross, is showcasing and showing people what we do, right? And so that's something that we end up doing quite a bit. Maybe not as much as we would like, but we get the camera out with our groups and try to capture what the vibe is here at BBA, and we've talked about this in quite a few of the podcasts throughout this last year, is how our business model has changed over the years. And now it's just not go get you stuck and go ride. It's teach you so we can go get you stuck and go ride in terrain that you never thought you could go ride in. And it's really been a blast capturing that and just seeing these people's reaction to, oh my gosh, I can actually do this.
Right.
And I thought I didn't know I was going to get this much out of it. Right. And so, so if we weren't filming, we wouldn't be able to capture that. And so with the vlog and then the clips that we're able to post on social media, those have been really fun.
Yep. And all of that is kind of like, it just allows us to capture it differently, because I mean, there's been a lot of snowmobile films that are a lot of jumps and hopovers and all of the same things for a number of years, and they have their place and they're great and cool, but like and that's what I've heard is like, oh, Chris Burandt's a real human after, I'm like we're getting photos of you or stuff of you like stuck or screwing up, or, Kyle's giving you a hard time. All that stuff is like, it just makes it more relatable, I think.
Yeah.
So, and that's what's really fun to hear the feedback from.
Yeah. And it was funny. I posted a Fail Friday clip the other day, and one of the comments was awesome. Finally, I'm riding like Chris Burandt.
Yeah, there you go.
So I hope that kind of answers the filming question. Our goal is to always get content. Sometimes it's easy to be lazy and not get the shot, but then we always kick ourselves in the butt saying, oh, if we just would have had a camera out for that, those are moments that would have been really cool to capture and to share.
Yeah.
But yeah, so filming is fun. It's definitely work though. we love just riding and not having cameras out, but then it's like, we don't get to share it and we don't get to talk about it. And so,
yeah.
And I guess thankfully now it's really convenient just to get your phone out.
Yeah. And the phone clips are good.
Are good. Yeah.
They're good enough.
And for the $1 bet line,
woo,
you
got to get the phone.
You got to
get the phone out. And then if I'm there, I'm like, don't go. I need the camera.
Yeah, exactly. All right, cool. So let's move on to question number 3. So we've covered filming. We've covered favorite place to ride. Let's talk about, I think someone asked about Evo build.
Bradley Phelps. Love seeing you and Strider build the Evo this year and now teaching him the craft. Would like to hear more about how the build went.
Cool.
I'm not a very good reader, sorry.
Well, I posted this just the other day. No matter what happens the rest of this season for me, this has been the best one so far. I have literally rode 5 weekends in a row now with my boy.
Yeah.
And it was just amazing. So last weekend I went on a Fox test we were doing final calibration for our Chaos QS3 setup, and I was able to take my son. Right. I mean, and it's funny that, the guys at Fox are like, I cannot believe this kid is
just right there.
We're just riding. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, just riding with the boys. And I mean, obviously, he's not going down into Narville and the deep dark creeks, but in these early season where we're just finding meadows with not as many rocks and just getting miles on sleds, it's been so dang fun. And so we talk about the Evo build, and I mean, again, we will have a full podcast on the Evo, but in a nutshell, we have to get the youth involved in our sport.
Right.
It is the future, and every industry is seeing that struggle right now. The motocross industry,
mountain bikes,
everything is. If we don't have the youth excited and pumped for it, where is it going to be?
Right.
I mean, we're all going to be old, and I guess we'll still kind of be buying sleds, but we need our future to be pumped about it like we are. And so, it was a really big step for me with this sled, because prior to this year, he did the same deal. He started on a little 120 like most kids do, and then we got a modified 120, and then he actually rode the Cat 200 for a season, but outgrew that very quickly. But all of those rides are glorified trail rides, and that's, well, out here out west, that's not the agenda. The agenda is to ride off trail. And so there's this huge gap between that 200 and a 600.
600?
A 600 full-size sled.
Yeah, full-size chassis.
Chassis,
yeah.
Yep. And so the Evo was put into that segment, basically a 3/4 size sled. And, it is a pro chassis, but it has ergonomics, the lower seat, the tank, some of those things that help. And you guys have seen, maybe you can go on our website under the store, and we have actually all the details on the Evo RMK build, and there's some really cool side-by-side pictures of what the sled looks like compared to a full-size sled. And so for me, Polaris built the Evo. They could have gone one of two directions, and they chose to go with the more planted feel to not scare the rider who's just trying to learn off-trail stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And so picture the father and son going to Togety, and they're riding the trails, and they see a meadow, and they dip off the trail and ride the meadow. That lower planted feel of the Evo that's a good thing.
Right.
It's more stable. It doesn't scare the child. So there's two approaches, and so I guess how I looked at it is there's an Evo RMK, but then there's an Evo RMK Pro. edition, right? And the Pro edition is all
Evo
of
Axis.
that.
Yeah,
That's
something
right.
like that, right?
Is that's what we need to start teaching the fundamentals of mountain riding, which are counter steering, wrong foot forward, powder turning, getting a sled on edge, all of those types of things. And with the Evo RMK in the stock form, that is very difficult because it's wide and low to the ground. So, my agenda was very simple, is to make this little 3/4 sled into a mountain sled versus trail / meadow sled.
Yeah.
And what was really neat is we have a lot of takeoff parts around here because of all the builds that we do. And so I was able to, just real quick in a nutshell, take the front end off. So the Evo's low to the ground. So to get travel back in it, I put an Axis or 850 Axis React front end, which bolts right up. We had to shim we had to do a little bit of shimming for the A-arms to the bulkhead. And then it takes regular shocks. And then in the rear, we relocated the rear skid out of the tunnel to get more travel. Also did a couple things in that rear. Again, you can see the build list on the site of exactly what we did, but ended up putting RMK rear shocks in there to get more travel. Mm-hmm. And then the big one was the running boards. And I remember back in 2011, we were cutting all running boards off and putting better boards on, and it was a lot of dang work. And that project is a lot of dang work as well. So it was really a fairly easy project up until the running boards. But you take your time, you template it out, and you start cutting stuff. Yep. And those things, and then I did a set of RSI 1-inch handlebars, which lowered the handlebars a little bit, narrowed them up. I put a tether on it. I know a lot of you guys were yelling at me, get your kid a tether. I was like, well, it's on order. And so, but yeah, anyway, the sled right now he's able to counter steer, get up on edge. You guys have seen the videos, and more importantly, so we talked about the sled a bunch, but more importantly, my son now has that desire.
Right.
And he gets to go ride with dad.
Yeah.
And he is just so fired up about it and wants to ride every day. And that, more than anything, has been worth it for me.
Yeah.
So
super cool.
Yeah, it's cool. So we can talk way more about the Evo.
Yeah. And Stryman he's been in the shop since he was, just nothing. And he's just been around and seen and watched every video and seen us talk and all of the things. So he's been soaking all that up, and now he gets to go do it.
Now he gets to go do it.
Right?
Yeah.
Dude, it killed me when we were in the truck loaded up, and Chris uses the Bobcat skid steer to push up jumps, and he's got his little moto track. Strider goes, Dad, I hope you brought the Bobcat so we can build jumps.
No, Strider, I didn't bring the Bobcat.
We couldn't fit it
up the mountain.
We couldn't fit it in the gooseneck.
Yeah. I guess one more point too. The thing that's so cool is in teaching someone at this age right now, they are clean, no bad habits. Yeah. He when I tell him this is how you do it, then they just do it. And we fight this all the time when we get clients here who have ridden their way for 20 years. It is ridiculously hard to break bad habits. And so to be able to form the correct habits right away, man, he's going to be a shredder.
Yeah. Yep, and we're all fired. It's a Strider and Chris show.
Yep. All right, so we got Evo build, filming, favorite place to ride. Let's go. So we got two topics next. We got trucks, and would you change anything knowing what you know now?
Yeah. What do you want?
Whichever one you can find quicker.
Okay. Oh, geez, dude. Sorry.
Struggle bus.
Oh, here's trucks.
Okay.
Andrew Call asks, a brief overview of the trucks, what have been done to them, future plans, and how much do you like it?
Cool. This is a fun one. And anytime I post a picture of old Red Dragon and with the big trailer, everyone's like, man, we got to see some build details on that truck, which we do. We need to do that.
Yeah.
I have a slight problem when it comes to trucks.
Slights might be an understatement, but
I'm very particular and I like my stuff clean, and I have a 2013 F350. You guys may have seen it
once.
Shut up. It's more of a garage princess. It only goes out on nice days, and my problem is I have a hard time having people in it because they can't keep their feet on the mats. They don't like my no shoe rule, things like that. And so I ended up having to buy a new truck just so I could park old White Lightning in the shop and so it's clean. And so my work truck is a 2001 Dodge 6-speed with a Cummins that I ended up doing compound turbos from ATS, injectors, a clutch. I think that's about it. Yeah.
Sweet wrap.
A sweet, sweet Fox wrap. Yeah. And it's just a beast. I mean, you can't hear yourself talk. If you leave it idling too long, you pretty much get asphyxiated in the cab. Yeah. I mean, it's just a real man's truck, you know? But I love it, and it's something that I cannot be as particular about. And so that's my daily driver, and I really like it.
Yeah, and it's still cleaner than my daily driver.
It's got 350,000 miles on it, and it just chugs along, and the compounds have been pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Everyone knows I like turbos, especially when vehicles that have 2 turbos. So, but yeah, that's what I'm driving. Roscoe, you're
I have a 06 LBZ Chevy 2500 with the flatbed, and I got it for a smoking deal, but it sat up in Washington, the Pacific Northwest, in the rain for a while because it only had 80,000 miles when I bought it. So then got moisture in the turbo, main seal went out, and then the injector started to go. So I did full injectors, turbos, downpipe, like whole thing. Nothing crazy because like I don't want to, wreck things, and I need it to be a daily rig. So that kind of sucked when I had to do that, but now it's in a place where I can just drive the heck out of it. Mm-hmm. So, and I really like it. It's good. But I kind of did the same thing, except I didn't have the luxury of putting my Princess in the shop, so I had a newer GMC, and then I sold it and bought this, and I'm happy with my purchase and would like a F-150 or something smaller to have when I don't need this truck, but we'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
So it's super fun, and it's always cool to play with them, and we always have more plans. Like I want to build the flatbed into a true sled deck flatbed, but did not get to it this summer. So
yeah, and then so we've got Kyle. He ended up getting a 17 or 18 F250 or 350.
Yeah.
So kind of cool. He was a Dodge guy last year. Had some stuff with the Dodge. So he's back on the Ford train, and thank gosh he's got a nice truck. So then I can just ride with him all the time.
Make him drive.
Well,
he bought it, and then like 2 days later, it got like hail damage.
Oh gosh. Man, that's Kyle.
And
Kyle just smiling on his face. Oh yeah, it's totaled.
He sends me pictures like golf ball size hail, and his truck's just sitting in the driveway.
Yeah. And then our new ad, Wyatt. He friggin' ponied up.
Dude, he's got a lot of tire on that thing.
37s, what?
Yeah,
so he got a 19 Dodge, and but I mean, my definition of a worthless truck. Okay, no gooseneck hitch, which
you're fired.
Which me and Ross already went in halvesies to make Wyatt drive every day. We're buying him a hitch.
Yeah,
and then a short bed. I mean. Well,
Kyle's got a short bed too.
I know all these. I mean, if you're gonna buy a truck, buy a dang truck. Well, and speaking of worthless truck, let's get to Andrew.
Yeah.
All right, Andrew in the Tundra with a topper.
Mr. Salada Fly over there.
All right, we're just kidding, Andrew. We love you. But yeah, get some airbags on that thing.
You can't win around here.
So anyway, that kind of covers the trucks. We'll probably do a video on Red Dragon. I think that'd be kind of fun. Guys want to see that. And we should probably enter in a truck pull. That's where that truck belongs.
Yep, it's a monster.
Yep. All right, trucks. Okay, let's dip into the last question here. And essentially, so this was from Mark Duran. He's been out here. He's a client and just a super fan of the industry, which is really cool. In a nutshell, would you change anything knowing? So basically, the path that I have taken. Would you change anything knowing what you know now? And it's funny, I was reading that question, and Ross and I were chatting about it.
And then we should have fired up the mics and recorded an entire podcast as we started to talk about it.
I know, because that's like thinking hindsight. Well, hindsight, I wish I would have. But we're always given these life decisions, these left or right. Which way am I going? And you never know what the path is going to, where it's going to take you. And for me, I believe God has the plan. He gives you the options, and it's your decision.
Right.
And from a very early age, I enjoyed the challenge of taking the hard way.
Yeah.
Halfway down the hard way, you're like, what the hell am I doing? What was I thinking? I would like to go back, but you're too deep, and
yeah,
that's what you're doing. But I look at the direction that I have chose, and I think about just all of these crazy life defining moments, like somehow running into the crew at Slednex in West Yellowstone. So here's me with no money, but I go to West Yellowstone to snowcross race, which I sucked at, but there was a freestyle contest, right? And so I enter the freestyle contest. This is where I end up earning my nickname Big Air.
Have you been hitting ramps before this?
Very little. I had 2 tricks. I had a Superman and a can, and I had 3. And jump so far to miss the landing, but land flat, but the crowd went crazy. So I called that a trick.
Yeah.
Right. So I look at those decisions. I was literally living paycheck to paycheck, buying snowmobiles on credit cards, but ended up in West Yellowstone. I won. I got I think I didn't win that event, but I got 3rd or something, and a couple $100, and a couple $100 back then for me was big. And then at the end of that, as I'm picking up windshield parts and all of this stuff, the Slednex, so Moriarty, the owner of Slednex, comes up to me. He's like, you need to come film with me tomorrow. And I'm like, okay, I am in. And it's, I can think of a handful of moments in my life that were like that when, the question, would you change anything knowing what you know now? And it's like, I can't. I was given an option, and I started going down the path. The next real life defining moment for me is obviously X Games, learning the backflip and winning X Games gold, taking that money that I won from X Games, putting that into Burandt's Backcountry Adventure, starting the business, which brought me to here.
Yeah.
I didn't want to learn the backflip. I hated it. I was scared of it, but I was at the crossroad.
It was, Do
you go left or right? Left is the easy way. Right's the hard way. Everyone hates side hilling on the right, so I guess I'll go right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So that's I think it's a cool question. It's a cool topic, but for me, it all comes down to as I look back at where I started from, did I make mistakes? 100%.
Right.
Did I learn from the mistakes? Yes. Those are called lessons. It's not a mistake then. And we talk about that a lot.
Right.
And so just having those opportunities put in front of me and then capitalizing on the opportunities was pretty awesome.
Yeah. And I think just like taking the hard route, taking the route that's can lead to more happiness, success, fun, whatever it is. It's just like the question is the easy answer is, I would change. We would have been creating content 4 years ago if right? Or you would have done this or that. But like you just said, you don't learn anything from winning.
Well, I think what's pretty enjoyable about thinking about why you're here.
Yeah.
So, and we talked about this in the podcast we did of how you got your job, right? A little bit.
How I got my job the first time, and then how I got my job again.
Yeah, again. But it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? And the things that we talked about when you weren't working for me, when we had our sit down, of the things that because it's just like what everybody sees on the surface here.
Yeah.
They think we go snowmobile. Yeah. And then you got to see what we actually do here. Right. And you're like, this can kind of suck sometimes.
Yeah.
And
for sure. I was so burnt out. Oh my gosh.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that what was cool about it is, there was some things that were hard, and it was easy to go the easy way.
Yeah.
But then you missed that feeling of the accomplishment after you beat the hard way.
Right.
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 And we talk about all of these things that Vanderchuck talks about.
Yeah.
Of associating yourself with the mega train.
Yeah.
The brand and all of that. And, I think one of the things that was hard for you being young and wanting to get your name out there is, as you were working for me, it was really easy for you to think that I'm doing all of this work to build Chris Burandt.
Yeah.
And what was something that took you a little bit to realize was you were building Ross Robinson through Chris Burandt.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's been so fun for me to see over the last 2 years with you, is you really have taken advantage of, I'm not Chris Burandt.
No.
I'm Ross, and we know that.
Right, we know that.
I'm Ross Robinson.
Yeah.
And I can just be me, and I think that's really cool, man. It's been fun to see your transformation in this too.
And the whole goal is just to bring value to everybody, that when I ask or want to do something, I've already brought so much that they can't say no. In a way, like that's kind of the whole meta idea. And obviously you're going to get told no a bunch, and it always happens, and we're really good at seeing that. But like, that's what we talked about, is me leaving was probably the best thing long-term that happened, because I learned a lot and I found a new thing. And now I know how burnout I was then. So now I just have adjusted, and I realize that, right? It's like, and what I heard recently was like, you're talking about making these decisions, is you make a decision and you will never know the outcome of the other decision.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
We never know. So like, you make your bed and you sleep in it, and this is the decision, and you keep moving forward. So like, whenever I think, what if I would have done that? I don't know. It could have gone great. Could have gone worse. Now we're on this one. So, and it's going to be great.
Yeah.
Right?
And it'll lead you to another crossroad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And, I think it's a great question. It's a fun topic to talk about, but in the end, I still live by the Cameron Haynes, motto of, in the end, nobody cares, just work harder.
Yeah.
I love living by that. We can bitch about when it's hard. We can bitch about when we don't want to do something, but in the end, nobody cares.
Yeah.
So get through it, be stronger from it, and just keep going.
And I love when you know you're doing it right, or you're really confident in what you're doing. You can go to that when it sucks, right? Like if it's late, and like when I'm editing a video or something and it's late, I'm like, oh, dude, I don't want to do this at all. But then I'm like, but this is working. Like nobody sees this, but it's gonna work. I can't wait, to remember this moment when I'm in the dungeon editing at midnight or whatever it is.
Yep.
You're up at 5 doing whatever, and it's that whole idea of like, this will be fun to look back on because we have so much confidence in it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's what's so fun about our program right now. And I feel like within the industry that we are in, we are doing things that everybody will look back on and say, that was sure a fun time.
Yeah.
And it was cool. And I mean, we don't know what we're doing.
No, dude. What?
I mean, this is fly by the seat of our pants, and really all it is what. Here's how I think about it: is what do people want to see?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we have the coolest job on the planet. Is it hard? Yes, but we have a really cool job, and we have a lot of people that want to be a part of what we're doing, and so it's cool to be able to sit here on a podcast and talk about it, and have the camera in my face when I'm about to do something stupid on the mountain, or in the shop, or whatever. And so it's a lot of fun. And we're just trying things, and the response has been great because we have just awesome fans and just people who love this industry.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Super fun.
Well, that really covers our 5 questions.
Yeah.
So just so you guys know, we're back on the podcast train now.
Okay.
We got one done.
I'm going to show that to him next week when he's like, man, I got a lot to do.
I know, but it's 45 minutes. We knocked it out.
45 minutes.
And we got to talk. So a couple of the other questions is related on sled setup. And I think it's really cool that guys are really wanting a place to go get some of that knowledge. So we are going to dive into that next. One of the questions that I had was, and we're going to do a whole podcast talking about this, is why do you take off the stock shocks?
Yeah.
And why do you run your shocks? Because they're really expensive. Why would I do that?
Yeah.
And so we're going to dive into that for next week. We're doing this podcast for those of you guys who listen to it whenever. We're doing it. This is Thanksgiving week of 2019, and we're going to keep trucking and moving on.
Yep, on to the next one.
So thanks for listening. For all you YouTubers, thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, be subscribed. Come on.
Yeah.
I can see how many of you are listening and not subscribed on iTunes as well, and it kind of hurts my feelings sometimes.
And it's hard to hurt this guy's feelings,
yeah,
too.
Look at me. Come on. But yeah, with that being said, the reviews on iTunes help a ton. Leave 5 stars or 2. I don't care. Whatever you think it deserves. We actually have a couple 2 stars or maybe 1, but we really appreciate that. And then leave the best place to comment for the podcast itself is like YouTube. That's where we can go look at them easily. So yeah, let us know what you think, and keep listening. We really appreciate it.
Awesome.
Somebody build us a sign.
Yeah, we need a sign, please. But and then we're also going to be moving forward with a lot of industry guests. I know we have Zollinger Racing Products wanting to be involved with the podcast. We're gonna have some more climb stuff coming down the road. So we got a lot of fun stuff. Tune in, and I know you guys all like Kyle, so we'll probably get Greaseball back in here too. The dude is an absolute animal. I think the shortest, yesterday was like a half day for him. He only worked like 15 hours yesterday.
Yeah. And poor Wyatt is like, can I go in? I'm like, Wyatt, you can go to bed. Like, don't worry. Like, I'm like, Kyle, I'm leaving, dude. He's like, can you help me? I'm like, no, it's 10:30. I've been in here since 6.
Poor Wyatt comes in the house. He's just shaking his, I don't know how he does it, man.
The machine.
Yeah, the machine. So we'll get Kyle back on here if we can get him out of the shop for 45 minutes, and we'll have some fun with that too. So keep in touch, stay tuned, leave comments, and again, follow us on all of our platforms, social, all of that stuff, and we'll keep cranking out the content. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.